All right, still got a thing in front of my face. Hello. Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. Good to see you all. Thanks for being here. And we're live on Rockfin, Rumble, and on YouTube. Rockfinner, is he all there? I don't know. It is Thursday, you know. Aha! Extra bullet with the bear jokes. All right. Hope y'all are doing okay today. Good to see you. Bourbon and barbiturates, yes. Be nice. All right. Well, let's get into it. There's lots of news. You know, Constitution is being shredded, burned, and the ashes are being thrown into the air. But I suppose when you look back through history, and it's good to zoom out on everything. Just perspective is the thing. And this is not to we knew you were a Hamas sympathizer, Timothy. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Hamas, but you're already in El Salvador, so that's okay. I feel like there's always been attacks on the Constitution, and there's always a battle between what people can get away with. And again, this is not in any way, shape, or form a disclaimer on what's going on right now, because what's going on right now is pretty bad indeed. You don't need to really, you don't need to pump it up for badness, but there have been, in the past, trying times, and hell, just listen to music. I was listening to. I like to listen to some Barb Marley once in a while. Barb is his white stepsister. Singing about so much trouble in the world, and it has been, there has been so much trouble in the world, generally throughout history. So if it offers you any consolation in any way, shape, or form, consider that there have been, or go back to the 60s and the 70s when people were, rioting in the streets. And again, these are not. I'm not saying this is great, but I just feel like this is all on some levels. There's a bit of par for the course, but there has been a succession of presidents lining up to make this happen, or maybe bowing down to make this happen, or kneeling to make this happen, or colluding to make this happen, to make things get worse. Sure, Scott Andrews, or Malcolm, sorry. Push what fast they can, then lock it in with wartime powers and war with Iran. Sure. I'm sure that's in the playbook. But if you go back to the Bush presidency, I mean, they were trying to take whatever powers they could for the office of the president. They were really hell bent on doing, and they did pretty much whatever the hell they wanted. And they ran a lot of the same playbook, which was like, create a calamity, blame it on the bad guys, the brown guys, demonize anybody who opposes your bloodthirst. Either you're with us or you're against us, if you remember the famous Bush statement. But it's not good. Where we're at now is definitely unprecedented on many levels, right? Anyways, lots of things going on. A lot of them fairly scary. Thing is that I don't think we're going to get an Obama, after the Bush years, what we got in this was an interesting sleight of hand, is because people were so terror struck, shaken, woozy from being beaten about the head and shoulders by the Bush administration. Like, really, they just did whatever they wanted, and people were just like, I don't know what's going on. When Obama came along, all he had to do was go, hope and change, and everybody was like, oh my God, this guy is so fucking great. Oh God, Obama, come save us. And Obama just ran the same stuff that Bush ran, but because under the veil of, like, Democrats coming back and giving people, fairness and equity and stuff, where this was the line that they were given, that we were given. He ended up, extending those presidential powers. He ended up, getting into more military conflagrations. He ended up, further hollowing out the middle class, further hollowing out black wealth. He did a number on people. Obama really did a number on people, but because people were so thankful to have anybody but Bush, it really was, So that's the thing, is like, beware of the person that comes after Trump. Like, really beware of the person that comes after Trump, because Trump is going to, in a way, we've already had that. Biden came back and everyone's like, oh God, oh Biden, oh yeah, he's going to, and Biden just continued the streak of bullshit. But really, he was here to just tee it up for Trump again, right? He was here to just hold the tee while Trump, came back to the green. Or the fairway. I don't know what golf. I don't know anything about golf. Yeah, Scott Andrews says, I don't see much difference between the Trump administration and the Bush administration. No. No. Why would you? They're running this. They are running literally the same playbook, the same kind of gaslighting playbook, and I wouldn't doubt, what he's trying to run a demonize the Middle East campaign in order to start a war in the Middle East. That really is their goal, and unfortunately, they might just get it. Gene Whitworth says, let them try to shred the Constitution. We have lots of copies. Need a better one anyways. Get rid of representatives. I don't know. All right. Remember this guy, the guy with the mullet, the classic Florida mullet, or Pennsylvania? I don't know. I think of Pennsylvania when I see this haircut. This is Philly, has Philly all over it, like Philly 1987, but that's just me. This is the guy. This is the same guy that was the Rainmaker guy shaking hands with Bill Clinton. If you're wondering who's behind the weather modification and geoengineered storms, well, who knows? He's wearing Nikes and shaking hands with the deep state. It looks like he is doing just that. Yeah, this guy. This guy. People in the EU were recently advised to stock up on essentials. Being advised to stockpile enough food, water, and essentials for 72 hours, just in case China breaks out that deep sea cable cutter. What's that you say? China cut what? What you talking about? Oh, Snowden. Yeah, Snowden thought Obama would be better. Well, well, and Snowden was, he went into exile during Obama years, right? I'm on Snowden's Substack, which is pretty good. He offers up his articles are pretty good generally. Pretty insightful. He throws the reruns out there every once in a while, and yeah, she's got some good stuff there. Pretty sure I'm on Whitney Webb's Substack, but I haven't seen any of her recent articles there. Oh man, I got so much to read and look at and take in and ponder. I just don't have any more bandwidth for anything. I'm at capacity every day. I'll say what? Okay. That's well. That I mean, that also is par for the course. I can't look at this video right now, Osama, but thank you. Or Bella Osama. Who's that? Who linked that? I don't think that was Oswami. Oswami. Anyways, we're looking at this article for just a second, and they're warning people of impending disaster that might necessitate people, well, having a couple of days worth of food and water, which is a damn fine suggestion. However, am I going to feel the burn? No, hell no. I'm going to burn the burn. I'm going to burn it all. No, I'm trying to burn. I'm trying to burn Bernie out. I'm trying to expose him as much as possible to anybody, any of my normie friends who might go like, well, that Bernie Sanders is out there telling them the good stuff again, and but golly gee, maybe he can save the Democratic Party this time. I'm trying to let them know that's a hell no. That's a no for me, dog. People in the EU are being advised to stockpile enough food, water, and essentials for 72 hours as part of the European strategy that aims to increase readiness for catastrophic floods and fires, pandemics, and military attacks. We are saying the member states 72 hours of self-sufficiency is what we recommend. Good advice, however, if it's coming from the EU, from the top down, I might be don't worry about it, Timothy. uh, yeah, I might be a little bit, I might take this as more of a warning than a suggestion of helpfulness, right? Readiness. I might take it as like, oh, there's going to be an emergency, you say. Okay, then. Noted. Right? When they tell you, they always tell you what they're going to do. They tell you what they're going to do. So if they're telling you, the funny thing is about my house and about being, ready to leave or whatever, like, well, there wasn't nothing there that was going to help me. There was only so much I could carry. So a go bag was a better um, thing to have handy in that situation. And for some reason, I always had the idea that I always had a feeling like my emergency preparedness for where I live was going to be leaving, not hunkering down. Although I hunkered, you could say COVID was hunkering down on some levels, and there was, a good reason to have like food stock. That was a good example of like a reason to have food stocked up, because if you had to wait in line 2 hours to go to the grocery store, like, well, or more, well, you would be in a better position if you had like 10 pounds of rice and beans and 10 pounds of coffee or whatever. Just you'd be like, I'm good, I'm straight. You know, many gallons of water, you'd be okay. Um, but I had the feeling that it was going to be a leave situation, not a stay situation. But whatever, it's neither here nor there. Yeah, they played the notorious clip of Obama promising in '08 he woed stop illegal surveillance. He also promised he was going to close Guantanamo. He promised a lot of things. Promised us a public option. Promised he was going to roll back um, some of the Patriot Act stuff, and actually made that worse. Thanks, Obama. Good stuff. But that's how they got people. Uh, people were so distraught. They were like, Obama looked like a returning hero, returning from nobody knew who the fuck he was 2 years before, which is always interesting, right? The idea that Obama was a CIA concoction is, pretty right on the money, right? He just came out of nowhere and all of a sudden was president, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, he is the greatest we have ever seen." And he just did everything. He did the deep states and the central bank's bidding every step of the way. Every step of the way. Grab your van right now, yeah. I just was out for a jog and I ran by a woman in a smallish camper van with her two dogs, and I was like, I mean, I don't know if she is doing that willingly. And so, on one side, I was like, well, man, I hope she wasn't like forced into this, but maybe she was choosing that. On the other side, I was like, you're probably in a better position than most to leave the place, you know. So from the Solari report, Trump. So Trump is issuing still, swinging with the executive orders, doing all kinds of stuff. Oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is it. It should have people concerned. Although some people are trying to get, happy about, there are people that are, when he swings these executive orders out, people are like, yes, there he goes, fixing all the problems. Van jealous. Van glorious. So look at this. Look at this, people. Modernizing payments to and from America's bank account. People were saying, who were the people saying? I don't know. Whitney Webb, Catherine Austin Fitts, Solari Report, and others, that Trump was going to usher in the CBDCs. And would you look at here? Trump moving at high speed to try to end financial freedom by promoting an all digital monetary system. This is from the White House. Modernizing payments to and from America's bank accounts. I already read through this. I can tell you what it says. It says they're switching to electronic payments, and they will no longer be issuing checks or paper payments. And they say explicitly in here not to be confused with a central bank digital currency, but if you're already switching to electronic payments, it's just a hop, skip, and a keystroke from the central bank digital currencies. By authority vested me as a president by the Constitution. It is hereby ordered the continued use of paper-based payments by the federal government, including checks and money orders flowing into and out of the United States General Fund. Imposes unnecessary costs, delays, and risks of fraud, lost payments, theft, and inefficiency. Sorry, you guys can't see this. Anyways, maintaining the physical infrastructure and specialized technology for digitizing paper records cost the American taxpayer over $657 million in fiscal year 2024 alone. I can't believe it even costs that much. That just seems like hell no. Over half, or almost $500 million to digitize paper records. I want receipts, yo. No. Anyways, This order promotes operational efficiency by mandating the transition to electronic payments for all federal disbursements, and receipts. By digitizing payments to the extent permissible under applicable law. Whoa. Whoa. Phase out of paper check disbursements and receipts. And so up here it says, to the extent permissible under applicable law, but not for avoidance of doubt to establish a central bank digital currency. Anyways, extra bully, yeah, you should always have a paper check option. Because when the internet goes down, when China cut that cable, that deep sea cable, and things go haywire, and you're like, I cannot. You're going to be well and duly screwed. So that's concerning. And Solari report, Catherine Austin Fitz, pointing out the move to the digital monetary system. Dun, dun, dun. There was another, he's also another move to, well, this is to try to make elections more fair and or above board. And a lot of people are like, yeah, there he goes, freedom. Hold on, there's another something from the Solari report that we're not going to watch this right now. Where's the one from the Solari report? Another one from Catherine Austin Fitz. Where'd you go? This is it. Pointing out that this will be used to, the secure elections move is going to be used to push a federal ID, digital ID. So moving everything digital, except for, he says, paper ballots. He's saying paper ballots, which again sounds good on paper. I got it. But will it turn into paper ballots is the question, or is that going to be one of the things they pull back? Well, we can't do paper. We promised you paper ballots, but we just can't. I mean, the infrastructure, it costs too much money to count and to print and to count that paper ballots. We already took away your paper checks and might take away your paper cash. Breaking, Trump just doubled down on calling for more secure elections. What he's calling for, and we'll listen to what he has to say about this. Proof of citizenship, voter ID, one-day voting, paper ballots. Okay, a lot of people have been talking about this for a while now.
And it's so easy to do it, and we should go to paper ballots. We should go to one-day voting. We should go to voter ID, and just one other thing, proof of a thing.
This has been the hallmark of, prior to the election and now after the election, the hallmark of this administration is saying, again, the nice words, the good words that make everybody go like, all right. And then, after the fact, turning around and doing something else.
Called citizenship in the United States. Wouldn't that be nice? How simple does that sound? Proof of citizenship, voter ID, one-day voting, and paper ballots. Paper ballots are very secure. They have watermark paper. It's very intricate stuff. It's very technologically advanced, even though it's paper. And you'd have no trouble. You wouldn't have dishonest elections, and you'd have them all done by 10 o'clock in the evening. France went to that. And not that I want to copy anybody, but many others have also. And they had 38 million votes, and it was all done at 10 o'clock. They had a winner, they had a loser. That was it. Nobody was complaining. and they had it backed up with paper. And it's so easy to do. The other thing you'd save.
Okay, all right, enough of that. But what I wanted to show you here, Catherine Austin Fitz again. Nope, she says you fell for the trap. If you read this, it is an unconstitutional push to sabotage states' rights and create a federal digital ID system, which will be used with digital money to turn you and your families into slaves. We do not need federal digital IDs to have free and fair elections. Fine to hold states accountable to do so. The notion that we need a federal digital ID is a demonic lie. Only embrace it if you want a mark of the beast system that will make the people who use it to privatize U.S. assets very rich at your expense. And she's talking about the real ID system, which is already in place. And they're going to require people, they've been saying they're going to require it to travel. And in the future, probably to do everything. So it's like a federal, you have your driver's license, which is from your state issued ID. But the real ID would be, kind of like a passport, but not really, just a federally issued ID. And if you turn it into a digital ID, then there you go. The real ID system is a national ID being engineered through the states that can be used with crypto to implement a Chinese social credit system, she goes on to say. But a lot of people obviously supporting this because it sounds good, but I think people are a little bit naive on trusting Trump to do the right thing. And where is it? In this same election reform push, apparently, so they're appealing to people again on a messaging level as far as making sure that there are no foreign influencers and no foreign monetary influence on our elections, and people are reading this as AIPAC. He just kicked AIPAC out of the elections. Are you sure? I mean, he's busy taking it on all fours from Netanyahu. I don't really. He's going to turn around and ban AIPAC. You sure about that? This is Trump's new executive order could end AIPAC. Let's listen to this.
Trump just might have banned AIPAC. Yeah,
Oh,
you heard me
boy.
right. Trump may have just banned AIPAC from donating in our elections. Trump signed this executive order today protecting the integrity of American elections. And I was reading through it because it's very lengthy. And I came across this one point and I knew I needed to make a separate video about it. So it says this at the beginning: Federal Law 52 U.S. Code prohibits foreign nationals from participating in federal, state, or local elections by making any contributions or expenditures. But foreign nationals and non-governmental organizations have taken advantage of loopholes in the law's interpretation, spending millions of dollars through conduit contributions and ballot initiative related expenditures. This type of foreign interference in our election process.
Okay, I'm not going to play anymore, but she's just trying to say, like, oh, they just banned AIPAC, ha 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 ha. But what people are pointing out is MAGA narrative managers aren't too bright. AIPAC is a U.S.-based organization, meaning that it would be exempt from this executive order. Also, LMAO at the idea that Trump would ever do this. Exactly. Like, you got to be several levels of dumb to think, like, the dude is just, can't do enough for Israel. And so he's going to turn around and ban APAC. Are you sure about that? Tell me more about, whoa, this is some kind of, well, he's got to play the politics and do the political maneuver, like bomb Houthis in Yemen and tell Israel that they're going to, we're going to be economic partners in clearing out Gaza and rebuilding it in a new and beautiful Trump kind of way. Really? He's going to ban APAC? Okay. I hope that it was a vivid image. Say what? What is this? Stardust, an Israeli U.S. startup, intends to patent its unique aerosol technology for temporary cooling the plant. Temporarily. Okay. Again, well, what they're trying to do is move. There's that other Make Sunsets company. I think what they're trying to do with the geoengineering thing is try to move it outside of the purview of like government. They're trying to make it seem like, well, if it's just a private company doing this, well, that's okay, and governments might want to hire them for their services. It's different from Keith David and others at Harvard, trying to test this geoengineering out. But there's going to be a lot of pushback to that. Yeah. Technologically advanced and Trump don't belong in the same day. He turned off the computer and then turned it back on. I was like, what's going on? Anyways, I'm all over the place, y'all. Tulsi Gabbard was given a basting by Code Pink. Medea Benjamin. Tulsi, Israel is the national security threat. The U.S. sends billions to fund Israel's genocide in Gaza, killing tens of thousands, displacing millions, and fueling global outrage. People around the world see our complicity and are turning against us. This is making us hated, isolated, and unsafe. True words. Not just from without, from within. Real security starts with ending U.S. support for war crimes.
Tulsi, how about Israel's genocide? Is that a national security threat? Tulsi, why don't we talk about Israel and its national security threat? People around the world are hating the United States and funding genocide. Tulsi, you know better than that. We have to talk about Israel. She just told me to keep some distance. Tulsi, we need to talk about Israel's genocide and what that's doing for the U.S. security threat. Tulsi, how?
Okay. Oh man, say it ain't so. Just everybody who ever had a glimmer of authenticity seems to have turned into a ghoul. It's heartbreaking. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Does it sound better now? Didn't realize it was on the computer speakers. Let's see. Speaking of, let's see, I got a couple of
Speaking of Obama, they're all doing the same war criminal stuff. Obama and John Brennan drone bombed wedding parties repeatedly. Remember that, guys? And even groups of people standing around if they suspected that one legitimate target was in the vicinity. They all Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. It's of course a war crime, and if anyone applied this logic to the U.S., they'd be branded terrorists. Rules of engagement that permit destroying an entire civilian apartment building to kill one alleged terrorist as part of Joe Biden's legacy. It's still a war crime, though, and Waltz's text is a confession. And this is referring to the Signal messaging app leak between Mike Waltz and J.D. Vance. And I think Marco Rubio was here, too. This is the leak. VP, building collapsed, had multiple positive ID. Pete Carilla, the IC, amazing job. JD Vance, what? Typing too fast. Their first target, their top missile guy, talking about the Houthis. We had a positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and it's now collapsed. JD says, excellent. All right, yeah. I think this is Marco Rubio. Good job, Pete, and your team. The team in MAL, I don't know, did a great job as well. Great work. Powerful start. Anyways, he's admitting to bombing an entire building full of civilians to get one person, which is a war crime. And don't we have, I mean, aren't there entire movies and an entire history of people taking out people like that in more clandestine ways than just flattening an apartment building? Are we that, I don't know, sloppy, brute force? I don't need to ask. Mara large ass. But it doesn't matter. They're admitting to a war crime openly, or at least on this app. They think they're not, and also worrying about the messaging of what, how to share, how to, tell people to think about this. Where is it? But we're quickly moving into a world where the Bush administration told you that you couldn't be against us, right? They weren't, unless I don't remember correctly, and maybe I'm misremembering, but were they disappearing people that were speaking out against the Iraqi war? Maybe they were. Obama signed the legislation that allowed domestic targets if they were classified as terrorists. So there's that precedent. But was Bush rounding up people who were speaking out against the Iraq war willy-nilly? He might have been, but I don't really remember that. But, right now they're targeting people who are from other countries or of another nationality, designating them as enemies of the state and such. We're having anti-Israeli tendencies. Whatever. I don't know what the charge is. What's the charge? What's the crime? I'm not really sure what the crime is. Speaking out against something that we're doing, that's the crime. I feel like that's covered. Well, let's have a drop in from this gentleman speaking with, I think he's speaking with Ron.
That the First Amendment and the other amendments in the Bill of Rights, they're not granted by government. You know, the framers of the Constitution, the people who started this country, put them down on paper because they recognized that they pre-existed government. They're granted by our Creator or our humanity or whatever you want to call it. They're simply recognized that in a state of nature, man has the ability to speak what he wishes, he or she wishes. And people say, well, that doesn't apply to non-citizens. Of course it does. It's not granted by government. That's the whole purpose of it. But anyway, it is a very, very chilling slope that we're going down now. And that's why we wanted to focus on this. And now let's put up this first clip. Now, this is the latest in a series of events where people in plain clothes with their faces covered will go and they will arrest someone without identifying themselves and take them away without a warrant, without telling their family, what have you. Put on that first clip. Now, the latest is Rumeysa Ozturk. She is a PhD student at Tufts University. Federal agents arrest Tufts student as part of crackdown on pro-Palestine speech. She's a Turkish student in the U.S. on an F1 student visa. She was arrested outside of her apartment. She's in federal custody. She's been taken from Massachusetts and sent down to Louisiana, which is the same thing that happened with Khalil Mahmoud, another student who was arrested. Her lawyer said she's not been able to contact her. Go to the next one. Now, what happened? Well, this is what's really chilling, Dr. Paul. There are these NGOs that are probably affiliated with foreign governments that are keeping lists of people who say things they don't like, and they're giving that list to the government. Ozturk had been targeted by the Canary Mission, a pro-Israel group that doxes students and professors who are critical of Israel. The Canary Mission's page on Ozturk lists only one example of her, quote, anti-Israel activism, and that is co-authoring an op-ed that called for Tufts University to divest from Israel. And
who? What? You see that she's not even talking, she's not even criticizing the United States. She's criticizing another country. Why are we arresting people on behalf of another country? Why? Why?
Acknowledging the Palestinians.
Oh, real quick, I forgot in the beginning of the show to thank Carrie Nanstead. Thank you for the tip on Rockfin, Carrie. I appreciate it. I'm going to continue playing this in a second. And if you appreciate the show, if you like the show, if you support the show and you want to support the show some more, there are lots of ways to do it. There are lots of links in the description box. All the usual suspects are there. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, Patreon, Substack, etc. Also, remember that tomorrow is a Substack only show. They've upgraded a little bit. They're going to allow me to make the post about the show prior to the show, so that's kind of cool. They're allowing me to pre-schedule the stream, whereas as of last week, I couldn't. I just had to go live and just catch people showing up. So I will pre-schedule the stream tomorrow on Substack. And man, it's going to be even better when I can stream to a browser, so I can, show what I'm talking about and stuff, and not have to like do the weird thing with my camera. That'll be cool. But anyways, we're going to be Substack only tomorrow, so please remember to go on over to Substack tomorrow.
Genocide. No reason was given for her arrest. Her visa has been revoked, and she's about to be deported from the United States for writing an op-ed. Now, I do have a video of her arrest. Tell me if this doesn't remind you of something out of the Gestapo or out of the Soviet times, where this woman is walking down the street, people with masks on break out of their cars and arrest her, and she rightly, as a young woman.
All right, we've seen the video. I showed the video yesterday. And it looked very Gestapo-like. I'm going to, one more about this arrest from James Lee. Talking about how she is being deported for co-authoring an op-ed that called for the divestment from Israel, a country responsible for killing 50 plus Americans. Meanwhile, we are bombing the Houthis, who have killed exactly 0 Americans. This is a good piece from James Lee and very short. Here we go.
Green card holders simply because they voice criticism of not even the United States, but of a foreign country, even if that foreign country is our supposed greatest ally. A great ally who is responsible for the death of 34 American servicemen and the wounding of 174 others. A great ally who ran over and killed an American human rights advocate with a bulldozer. A great ally who sniped an American journalist, Shireen Abu Akleh. A great ally who somehow indirectly and unintentionally shot and killed another American activist just this past year. That is 50 plus Americans dead directly at the hands of our greatest ally. And the Houthis, who we've been bombing for 10 straight days on behalf of our greatest ally. How many people or how many Americans have they killed? Oh, 0. We might want to rethink this relationship, is all I'm saying.
All right. Let's keep going. Got a couple more minutes here. Also, along the lines of precedents in eroding your rights. No, China is not watching you through your coffee maker, but the CIA did install hardware-level spyware and backdoors on your phone that monitor your camera, microphone, keystrokes, location, calls, text, social media, and internet activities. This is from the Chinese embassy in U.S. Mobile cyber attacks conducted by U.S. intelligence agencies. This is... They release a report on mobile cyber attacks conducted by U.S. intelligence agencies. And if you want, look up Pegasus, which is an Israeli spy program through NSO, I believe. According to the report, the U.S. has long targeted mobile phones worldwide and the entire mobile industry ecosystem with malignant cyber activities. This is the U.S., the United States, in conjunction with, someone else. The U.S. is the biggest state actor of cyber attacks by taking advantage of global supply chains and mobile operators. I'm sure China has lots of surveillance on their phones as well, but yeah. But calling it out. Speaking of surveillance, here's a report about the FBI turning itself into online rent-a-cops for CEOs, spying on social media posts it considers threatening to corporate executives per new FBI assessment obtained under FOIA. We talked about this, right? They're looking for people who are sympathetic with Luigi, or maybe saying things that feel a little threatening to the corporate CEOs. What if I said that corporations should be put out of business? Is that threatening? The number one threat to the climate of the planet is corporations. Feds are watching your sarcastic posts online as part of Trump's new war on terrorism. Yeah. America's top law enforcement agency is pimping itself out to corporate America to protect business executives from the American people, according to an FBI threat assessment marked law enforcement use only. And reported here for the first time, the FBI assessment heightened threat to chief executive officers following the shooting of a healthcare senior executive is dated February 19th and is a striking illustration of the new and growing domestic war on terrorism that I've been writing about. The assessment and statements from top Trump officials seek to label growing outrage against corporations as terrorism. The Trump administration is particularly spun up about the spate of arson and vandalism attacks against Tesla automobiles and facilities since its CEO became plenipotentiary of the world's most powerful man. The FBI document was obtained under the Freedom of Information Act by Transparency Nonprofit Property of the People. If the government truly cares about preventing death and suffering, perhaps tax dollars should be spent on health care for the people instead of mass surveillance and security for wealthy executives. Yep. Ding, ding, ding. Part of the FBI's campaign involves monitoring social media posts supposedly threatening corporate executives. The assessment claims that there has been a spike of such threats across multiple industries since Luigi Mangioni's alleged murder of a United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, in December of that month. I reported on a separate NYPD threat report warning that online reactions to the Thompson murder suggest extremists may view Mangione as an example to follow. The old copycat. The new FBI assessment follows the same line of thought, saying, this rhetoric has displayed an elevated threat of violence to executives and highlighted a need for increased situational awareness among private sector partners. Social media threats have risen across all sectors and industries, it asks. Social media. That's where it's getting really threatening. I have all the power and all the money and all the weapons and all the police force, but man, oh man, I'm feeling really threatened about these social media posts. Gene says, yes, it's not China. I'm worried about shutting down our internet after our money goes full digital. I mean, if you're worried about people going, if you're worried about people going French Revolution, I mean, sure. Make sure that you start telling them they can't say anything negative about people in power. Blowback is a mofo. More on China calling out. And I didn't say moron China like China is a moron. I meant moron. You know what I meant. The U.S. is so corrupt and owned by Israel that China easily becomes the sane and moral leader. China calls on Israel to withdraw from Syria and Lebanon without delay. Oh. I mean, I was kind of waiting for someone somewhere to be like, hey, man, you guys, it's kind of like, remember when Hitler was, rolling across Europe? Were people sitting around going like, man, it's a little wild, Hitler. Right? No, I mean, like, I'm not necessarily interested in a world war, but still, like, there are other entities out there with, like, large military budgets that might go like, I just really, this has gone a little too far, guys. You would think that somebody would step up to the plate. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe they're all in bed together. A lot of people think that this is all preparing us for Oceania against Eurasia forever. Who knows? Malcolm says they got each other's back till bunker time as they squeeze the last out of us, then hide in bunkers and let it collapse. Let collapse remove us. You think everybody's like, no, they're not going to step up? Probably not. Probably not. I doubt it. But still, it makes you wonder, like, I feel like the last time, well, I don't know. I feel like the last time this happened, there were people that were like, well, I don't know. But I get as of right now, beyond the Houthis, like nobody's really okay, guys. Is everybody just? I think everybody's just too scared of the U.S. has got way too much power. China will do nothing. Nothing. Oh, it is Eurasia. It's yours. But I don't know. South Africa. Somebody mentioned something about South Africa having nukes. What do you think? I think Israel has more on politicians than compromising photos. I think Israel has like suitcase nukes, probably in New York, probably in LA, probably in Chicago, every major city of the U.S. Israel has like suitcase nukes, and they're like, you guys don't, if you guys veer from the plan, if you guys, if we get a sense that you guys are going to veer from the plan, we'll just take out New York. And maybe, and they're like, we have a nuke, just trust us that we have something like that. We don't, you don't know where it is. And maybe they have that all over the world. Maybe they have one in, maybe they have some suitcase nukes in Moscow and Beijing. And they're like, I don't know, go ahead. Go ahead and try something. And I assure you, we have this, we have something somewhere, we have this, we have this all set to go. Maybe they have one under the White House. Who knows? Who knows? Epstein used to hang out at the White House, didn't he? Anyways, you guys are so cynical. It's okay. It's funny. And why not? Why wouldn't you be? All right, guys. I think that will do it for me today. I appreciate you. I'll check out this. Stardust is an Israeli U.S. company. I'll read about this Stardust thing tomorrow on Substack, okay? But thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate y'all. And see you tomorrow on Substack. Substack only, everyone. 12 p.m. Pacific. And until next time. If they let me.
Thank you.